today I'm going to be making a seared pork tenderloin with a grape sauce and mashed sweet potatoes. Yes, it's the sweet potatoes, but we're gonna put baked crunchy bacon in there. We're gonna put a little brown sugar. We're gonna put a little cumin and a little cayenne. My pork tenderloin, I am going to sear in the bacon fat, and then I'm going to dust it with toasted ground fennel seeds. So that brings another sort of like very, very interesting flavor to the mix. Sweet potatoes are gonna take us the longest. So we start them off in cold water and it kind of equalizes the cooking speed all the way around. If we put the potatoes in boiling water, even when we cut them into uniform sizes, the outside of the potato will be way overcooked by the time the middle gets cooked at all. Next, I have bacon that I'm going to render. So I'm gonna take about 4 strips of bacon and I'm gonna cut them into lardons, just a cross section of the bacon, about 1/4 inch. So my bacon, I'm making sure that it's a nice even layer on the bottom of my pan. So I'm going to toast our cumin and then I'm going to grind them. So it's a dry saute pan with nothing in it. If your spices burn, throw them away and start over. All right, these guys are done. So we just grind it up till it's a nice powder, a fine powder. Fennel seeds. All right, my bacon doing nice things, but not quite where it needs to be yet. Fennel seeds just about ready to be toasted. You're looking for a powder, really nice fine powder. It really just brings out the flavor. So we are using a pork filet mignon. So we're gonna season these guys up very generously. Pork, especially pork tenderloins, don't have a lot of fat in them, so they can dry out really, really quickly. This is why we are going to cook our pork in bacon fat, so it's gonna give it a nice big fat flavor. So, if I crowd my pan, instead of getting nice and brown, things will just steam. Like that's starting to look really delicious, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
So on all the sides, while these guys are finishing up, I'm just going to get my chives cut. Dust with toasted ground fennel seed. Yeah, really get that on there. So we are gonna put these guys in the oven. We're gonna go about like 7 minutes, poke it, maybe turn your tray around, and then 7 more minutes, okay? So while this is happening, you guys can be dicing a shallot. Shallots, because they're like an onion, but a little bit sweeter. So I'm gonna give just a little squeeze of new oil, put my shallots in my pan. I've got this on like a medium-low heat. I'm going to season them with salt. So I have port, and then I'm really just gonna use that to scrape the crud and get all that delicious flavor off the bottom. All right, so I'm gonna let that reduce, like cook back down to almost dry. In the meantime, I'm gonna add a whole bunch of grapes. What I want the grapes to do is kind of like puff up and burst a little bit and let out their lovely grape juices and then look like, deflated. Now, in the meantime, I'm going to finish my mashed potatoes. So hot cream and cold butter helps set a beautiful texture of your potatoes. A little cumin in there, a little tiny pinch of cayenne. Now I'm gonna add just a little bit of salt. I'm gonna add just a tablespoon of light brown sugar to my potatoes as well. So the last thing I'm gonna add is the bacon, really developing good flavors there. And so keep an eye on this, guys, because the pork has a lot of sugar in it, and sugar can burn really easily. I'm adding in chicken stock to come up about halfway up the grapes, and then I'm gonna let it reduce, and then I'm gonna add some more. It's a dance. All right, so we're gonna let this guy rest. All right, just so while my pork is resting, I'm just gonna taste my sauce to make sure that amazing things are happening. I really like that. Now, I'm going to plate my potatoes first. Take a nice big dollop, look at, scrape the end off, and let it just fall off your spoon. All right, forward. So on the bias, all right, We're gonna lay this guy right on top of there, but like now spread them out a little bit. I'm gonna spoon my grapes out. Kind of wanna like strew the grapes around sort of all over the place. It's gonna finish with some chives. Go ahead and dig in. Right? You like the grapes when you bite them, it's like a warm, like flavored, juicy, yummy explosion. So look at, we're doing savory things like the pork with sweet stuff, and then we're doing sweet potatoes with savory things. Like, oh, you can play around with stuff like that.